Thank you. Good morning, students. Good morning to everyone in the Krishna.
Good morning, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, I'm actually on the road. I'm coming towards you, Madhubha. So, but everything is set up inside the class.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All the best.
You're welcome.
Are you already back from India or you are still in India? Salika Prabhu.
Like I was saying, I came back from India yesterday. I'm in Lagos, on my way to Ibadan. We're going to the state, then we come back to Lagos just Monday.
Very wonderful. You're most welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna,
Vandeham
Prabhu.
Sri Guru Sri Pada Kamalam. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Dadati Sapatantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalitasya Vishakhan Vidangscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschataresha Tarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Grantharaja Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Nitya Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Okay, so welcome to our class. Bhakti Vaibhava Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto. And today we finished this chapter 17, which is from text 920 onwards. Okay, Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Grandharaja Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So we are today continuing with third canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 18, battle between the chapter 17, the victory of Hiranyaksha over all directions of the universe, text 20. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswati vyasam tato jayamudhiraye. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Grantaraja Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hiranyaksha nujastasya priya priti kridanvaham gadapani divang yatu yukshurmigayam pranam. His younger brother Hiranyaksha was always ready to satisfy his older brother by his activities. Hiranyaksha took a club on his shoulder and traveled all over the universe with the fighting spirit just to satisfy Hiranyakashipu. So if we can recall the class we did on Sunday last morning, we were discussing about the ill omens. If you may all mute, it is helpful. So if you may, sorry, thank you. So if you may recall what we discussed, anyone? We were discussing about who is the older brother and who is the younger brother. That's one of the things. But also we were discussing a lot of ill omens. And we were talking about ill omens where when demons appear. So anyone can recall something? It's been only a week. It looks like we missed the class, but it's been only a week. Go on.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Good, sure, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Last we discussed like the ill omens, like crying of the animals, like dogs, owl, and other animals. Sometime when some bad things is supposed to happen, then this thing is happening.
Yes, there's dogs howling.
Crying.
Yeah, animals behaving in a strange way. Right? Anything else? The shaking of mountains on earth, meteors and comets falling off the sky, harsh winds blowing. There is sometimes undue floods, undue lightning, undue thunderbolts. That means every big, large symptoms of the material nature becomes a little bit disarrayed. It becomes erratic, right? And sometimes donkeys, it starts braying and start going round and round in strange ways. There's sometimes sounds of chariots clattering from mountains. And then the birds also flying away from their nests, right? Frightened cows start to give blood when someone goes to milk the cows. Instead, they get blood coming out of the udders of the cows. And then suddenly you have blasts of wind coming and then huge trees falling, right? So on and so forth. And therefore also you see inauspicious planets going into retrograde motion. Like there's a conjunction of inauspicious planets and so on and so forth. So seeing all these ill omens, they could really understand. Brahmaji could understand, the four Kumaras could understand, and the demigods could not understand what's going on. So they had approached Lord Brahma to say, what is going on? The four Kumaras knew. Lord Brahma knew. The demigods did not know. Right? Then we talked about how the brothers were started to grow, and they were growing tremendously, huge mountainous bodies. These are real demons. These demons in the Kali Yuga, they're not real demons. They threaten, they can destroy this material world, they can destroy the earth planet. This earth planet is protected by the Lord, it's created by the Lord for the protection of the jivas and for the maintenance of the jivas. Something that is created by the Lord cannot be destroyed by these demons. He gave the example when Prabhupada was said that they will destroy this whole earth planet by this nasty work. Prabhupada said they cannot do much. Because when the big demons were causing havoc, they will destroy everything in the universe. Huge chunks of the universe will be destroyed. These people, they can destroy a district, half a town, half a city, and it will regenerate back on because the demigods are more powerful. Okay? So this is what we discussed. So now we are into text 20. Okay? So his younger brother Hiranyaksha was always ready to satisfy his older brother by his activities. Hiranyaksha took a club on his shoulder and traveled all over the universe with fighting spirit just to satisfy Hiranyakashipu. So in the purport, can someone read the purport, please? Please read the purport in text 20. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry.
The demonic spirit is to train all family members to exploit the resources of this universe for personal sense gratification, whereas the godly spirit is to engage everything in the service of the Lord. Hiranyakashipu was himself very powerful, and he made his younger brother Hiranyaksha powerful to assist him in fighting with everyone and lording it over material nature as long as possible. If possible, he wanted to rule the universe eternally. These are demonstrations of the spirit of the demonic living entity.
So this is generally what happens is people want to have an eternal life in this material world. They want to exploit nature, they want to control people. They do not want to leave this body because this is a symptom of deep attachment. But generally, they cannot sustain anything very much. So text 21, Hiranyaksha's temper was difficult to control. He had anklets of gold tinkling, and his feet, he was adorned with a gigantic garland. And he rested his huge mace on one of his shoulders. So he was very huge, he was big, he was kind of massive person. Okay, so text 22. Someone can read text 22. Please read the text.
Translation, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Okay. His mental and bodily strength, as well as a boon conferred upon him, had made him proud. He feared death at hands of no one, and there was no checking him. The gods, therefore, were seized with fear at his very sight, and they hid themselves even as the snakes hide themselves for fear of Garuda.
All the demigods, all the lesser demigods, all the different personalities who were doing so many things, they were hiding for fear of Hiranyaksha. So they were strongly built. Prabhupada is saying they were strongly built. They were extraordinary prowess. Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, they had received the boon that they could not be killed by any other living entities in this universe. Right? So they were almost immortal. And they were terrorists. They were terrorizing everyone. Text 23. On not finding Indra and the other demigods who had previously been intoxicated with power, and the demigods were intoxicated with power because they're karma mishra bhaktas. They very much enjoy their fruity work. They do a lot of things and then they enjoy. So the chief of the deities here, which are the demigods, and Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu are the chief of the deities. And Indra is the chief of the Adityas. From Aditi, they are demigods. And the chief of the demons are Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. So when the Adityas, Indras, and the other demigods saw, they actually vanished from their sight. They tried to hide away from them because they were actually very, very heavy. After returning from the heavenly planets, the mighty demon, who was like an elephant, in wrath for the sake of sport, dived into the deep ocean, which was roaring terribly. So here you see that he is not only terrorizing the earth planet and the heavenly planets, he's also terrorizing the seas, the water bodies, and all the living entities that live in these water bodies. And that's actually the meaning of the verse 24, because he went all the way to heaven, then he terrorized everyone there, and the demigods hid away from him. Then he decided to come down and he dived deep into the ocean. Right? So text 25. On his entering the ocean, the aquatic animals who formed the host of Varun were stricken with fear and then ran away. Thus Hiranyaksha showed his splendor without dealing a blow. So just his mighty body, his fierce demeanor, his demoniac nature, his huge mace and his huge garland on his neck and his huge mace on his shoulder, just the mighty strength that he displayed was enough to scare everyone. So he didn't really have to fight. And they were all running away with, away in fear. So text 26. Moving from the ocean, for many, many years, the mighty Hiranyaksha smote the gigantic wind-tossed waves again and again with his iron mace and reached Vaibhava, the capital of Varuna. So he went deep down to Varunlok, to the place where Lord Varuna lives. And the capital of the ocean is called Vaibhava. And in the Vaibhava, Varun, with all his important personalities, they have the kingdom in the watery kingdom. So then he went in there, Hiranyaksha. Okay? He went into the capital of the deity of the waters. And within that watery kingdom, he met with Varun Dev. So Prabhupada explains in text 27, Vaibhava is a home of Varuna, lord of the aquatic creatures and guardian of the lower regions of the universe, where the demons generally reside. There Hiranyaksha fell at Varuna's feet like a low-born man. And to make fun of him, he said with a smile, "Give me battle, O Supreme Lord." So he is very sarcastic in his presentation. He said, "You're the Supreme Lord. You're a great, powerful person. Yeah? Okay, so give me battle. Let us fight." So he was taunting and challenging Varun Dev in his capital. So Prabhupada is saying in the purport, the demoniac person always challenges others and tries to occupy their property by force. And they are symptoms of fully displayed by Hiranyaksha doing the same thing. Right? They're hooligans, they're bandits and dacoits. That's what they do. They terrorize people and take things away from them that is not their own property. And therefore, in a challenging way, he said, why don't you fight with me, my Lord? You are Supreme Lord. Because Varun Dev is a very important personality. Because one who is in charge of the watery bodies, is very, very powerful. So text 28 said, you are the guardian of an entire sphere and a ruler of wide fame. Having crushed the might of arrogant and conceited warriors and having conquered all the deities and danavas in the world, you once performed the Rajasuya Yajna. So Varun Dev, he actually established himself by performing Rajasuya, and everyone had to surrender to him. All the deities and the danavas, means the demons and the devotees, right? So they had to swear allegiance, because when someone performed Rajasuya Yajna, just like Indra, he performed 100 Rajasuya Yajna. So his authority remains unchallenged, because the amount of fruitive benefits that you get makes you very, very powerful. So he said, you did all of that. So you're like, everyone is surrendered to you, but why don't you give me fight? So thus mocked by an enemy whose vanity knew no bounds, the worshipful Lord of the waters waxed angry. But by dint of his reason, he managed to curb them. He was very angry, but he tried to sweet talk Hiranyaksha, because he knew that, challenging him would be sure defeat. So he kind of sweet talked him, curbed his anger, right? And he replied in a nice way. He said, oh, dear one, we have now desisted from warfare. He said, we're not into the mood for war anymore. It's not the time for war now. Okay? Having grown too old for combat. Varun Dev said, I'm just too old. I'm not into the mood for wars. So it's like, if you're challenged by someone and you said, I'm not in the mood for war, then the person is defeated in a way. But if you go angry and you try to rebuke the person for making the challenges, then you're actually accepting the challenge. So in a very diplomatic way, Varun Dev does not accept the challenge. Okay? So text 230. You are so skilled in war. I do not see anyone else but the most ancient person. So he actually sent him the right way. He said, well, you're so powerful, so experienced. I don't see anyone who can actually fight with you, except maybe Lord Vishnu. He can really give you a match, man to man, so to speak, mano to mano, give you a good fight. Therefore, chief of the Asuras, approach him, whom even heroes like you mention with praise. He said, even people like you praise his prowess. So why don't you approach him? I'm too old for battle. So therefore, when Hiranyaksha, was advised by Varuna that the right course of action would be to satisfy your fighting spirit by trying to fight with Lord Vishnu, right? So text 31. So Varun Dev continued, on reaching him, you will be rid of your pride. But in a nice way, he challenged him too. And he said, because he is trying to provoke him. And he said, on reaching him, you will be rid of your pride. So he's kind of, in a way, insulting him in a very heavy manner. And you will lie down on the field of battle surrounded by dogs for eternal sleep. So how do you rate that kind of comment? Varun Dev is being very diplomatic. He's not being, he's fearful, but at the same time, he's not showing his fear. He's saying, if you really want, go and fight Vishnu. And he said, he will kill you and you'll be lying down like dogs on a battlefield. You'll be lying down dead, surrounded by dogs who want to eat your body while you're dead. In order to exterminate wicked fellows like you and to show his grace to the virtuous, he assumes his various incarnations like Varaha. So he said, there is an incarnation of Varaha, and he's a powerful incarnation, and he's appeared. And he's appeared and he's going to give you fight that you want. So if you really want to challenge someone, go and challenge Lord Vishnu. So in the purport, Prabhupada is saying, Asuras do not know that their bodies consist of the 5 elements of material nature, and that when they fall, they become objects of pastimes for dogs and vultures. Because our body is made of consumables, product. which is, made in such a way that it become food for other animals, like vultures, dogs, hounds, and jackals. So he said, Varuna advised Hiranyaksha to meet Vishnu in his boy incarnation so that his hankering for aggressive war would be satisfied. So obviously he knew that this boy incarnation has appeared, and they are both trying to find a suitable opponent for war. So then Varun Dev said to him, why don't you search out Varaha? He is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu, and satisfy your desire to fight. So thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 3rd canto, 7th chapter, 17th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Victory of Hiranyaksha over all the directions of the universe. So it's at this point, his victory was merely just by being oppressive, terrorizing, showing off his prowess and his anger and his power. But no one really engaged in battle with her. Everyone just surrendered. And those who didn't surrender, they were hiding in fear of him. Then he went to Varun Dev, who is very, very senior in the ranks of the demigods. And he said, my lord, why don't you fight with me? And he said, no, I'm too weak. I'm too weak to fight with you. And I'm too old and not time for battle now. So why don't you go find Lord Vishnu, who's appeared as Varaha? So that's the end of this chapter. It's a short chapter and very simple narratives. And now we go to chapter 18. Okay, the battle between Lord Bo and the demon Hiranyakashipu. So someone can read, please, for me. I'm just here, I'm listening. But, okay, so someone can read the text 1. Okay, the text and the purport, and then text. And then I will comment.
Okay, then let me take it.
Okay, Prabhu, take it. Go on.
The battle between Lord Boa and the demon Hiranyaksha, verse 1. Maitreya continued. The proud and falsely glorious Daitya paid little heed to the words of Varuna. Oh dear Vidura, he learned from Narada the whereabouts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and hurriedly betook himself to the depths of the ocean. Purport. Materialistic warmongers are not even afraid to fight with their mightiest enemy, the personality of Godhead. The demon was very encouraged to learn from Varuna that there was one fighter who could actually combat him, and he was very enthusiastic to search out the Supreme Personality of Godhead just to give him a fight, even though it was predicted by Varuna that by fighting with Vishnu, he will become prey for dogs, jackals, and vultures. Since demoniac persons are less intelligent, they dare to fight with Vishnu, who is known as Ajita, or one who has never been conquered. Hare Krishna.
So Lord Vishnu is unconquerable. No one can fight and win with Lord Vishnu. Never, ever. So in that sense, Varuna, he knew that the best person for him to fight with would be Lord Vishnu. So then he said, okay, go ahead, fight with Lord Vishnu. So Maitreya is actually interjecting here and he's trying to explain. Text 2. He saw that the all-pervading personality of Godhead in his boy incarnation, hearing the earth upwards on the ends of his tusks and robbing him of his splendor with his reddish eyes, the demon asked, oh, an amphibious beast. So here you see Hiranyakashipu getting full view of Hiranyaksha, and he's bearing upward on the end of his tusk the globe of the earth planet. And he is actually so splendorous. He's so looking wonderful and splendid. But the demon here addressed Lord Varaha as an amphibious beast. So someone read the purport?
In a previous chapter, we have discussed the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Varaha, the Boa. While Varaha, with his thoughts, engaged in uplifting the submerged earth from the depth of the waters, this great demon, Rayaksha, met him and challenged him, calling him a beast. Demons cannot understand the incarnations of the Lord. They think that the incarnations as a fish or boa or tortoise are big beasts only. They misunderstand the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even in its human form, and they derive its descent. In the Chitta Sampradaya, there is sometimes a demoniac misconception about the descent of Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu's body is spiritual, but demoniac persons consider the body of the Supreme Personality to be material, just like ours. Avajananti Mahamuda, persons who have no intelligence derive the transcendental form of the Lord as material.
So even when the Lord comes down in the form of a human being, they deride his form. This verse, Bhagavad Gita 9:11 says, Avajananti mam buddha manushim tanam ashitam, param bhavam avajanantum amabhutam maheshwaram. When I descend in the human form, they deride my form. They say he's human. Certain religious systems, they don't understand incarnations. They actually say so many bad things about Lord Ram crying for his wife, or incarnations such as the bow incarnation, incarnations such as Nrsimhadev or fish incarnations. And this is ridiculous. These are low animals. How can you be born in this? But all the species are actually present by the mercy of the Lord. Sarva yonishu konteya tasam brahma mahad yoni raham bija pradapita. So all species are born from birth, and the Lord is a seed-giving Father of all species. But when the Lord descends in the human form, he's derided. So what to speak of when the Lord descends in non-human form? Zoomorphic forms, anthropomorphic forms. Means that anthropomorphic forms means that sometimes he's half human and half morphed into something else, like Hiranyak, like Nrsimhadev, like Hayagriva, the horse incarnation, who actually breathed out the Vedas and so on. So these forms, they're sometimes zoomorphic, sometimes anthropomorphic, sometimes completely animal form, like the fish. But then they're worshipped. The fish is worshipped in the form of Matsya, with half body shown as fish and half body shown as Narayan. Because they're actually transcendental, that body of that fish. If anything, at the end of the annihilation, of the pralaya, when the fish appeared, like a small golden fish, and then it increased in size and become so gigantic that it saved so many people, and it pulled a huge, massive boat. This is very similar to kind of Noah, Ark of Noah. But the Lord appeared in the fish form. Lord appeared in the so many other. He appeared as a barbarian, as Prasuram, chopping and killing. And he appeared also as Lord Ramachandra, very, very human, very taking the mindset and the psychology of a man and so on. So the Lord appears in all this form, but he is fully transcendental. He is not touched by the modes of nature, and he can transform into any form he wants. Yeah. So yes, Kamalaksha Prabhu.
I don't ask Prabhu. When it was so much, the waters, what was really study
Actually, it's breaking so much I cannot understand what you're saying. But try again.
I was asking when it was so much into the waters, what happened to the living entities? inside the earth. When the earth was submerged.
I don't understand, Prabhu, the question.
Guruji, your voice
Because
is
it's breaking. The voice is breaking. Maybe turn your video and try. Turn your video and
Okay.
give the question.
Krishna,
Yes.
I'm asking, when the earth was being submerged, before Lord Varaha brought out the earth from the waters, what was the condition of the living entities at that time when the earth was submerged?
So the living entities, where were they? It doesn't say. So we can only speculate that things were destroyed or that it was not populated at that point. Because remember that there is what you call here a kalpa, a confusion about the kalpa, Kamalaksha. Now this pastime is combined. Did actually this happen in the Svetavaraha Kalpa at the beginning of the creation, where Swayambhuva Manu could not find the earth planet because it was dropped into the ocean. And he wanted to create the population of the ocean, of the earth planet, and the population were not really there. Because that incident really happened at that point. So sometimes they say that this opinion of in the Puranas, in the Srimad Bhagavad Puran or in other Puranas, that this incident happened at the time of Swayambhuva Manu in the Svetavaraha Kalpa. And the Varaha there was actually the white boar who lifted the ocean, which lifted the earth, which had fallen into the Garbhodak ocean. And when Lord Brahma had advised Swayambhuva Manu to create the population, he said, but where is the earth? And he said, the earth has fallen into the ocean. So I see no way of reclaiming it. But what he was thinking like that, there's a small boar that came out of the nose of Lord Brahma. And his color was white. And he started increasing in size right in front of him. They could understand, oh, this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that boar, he went in to pick out the Mother Earth. He went in to pick up the Mother Earth at that time. So this happened in one kalpa. Now this pastime is happening in the Chakshusha Manvantara. And the other one is happening in the Swayambhuva Manvantara. So there is apparently a timeline that is misconstrued, that this didn't happen like that. But in the narration, Maitreya Rishi is mixing the times. So the population were already there. So then that question would arise, what happened to the population? But in the beginning, there were no population. So I think I have explained that incident also in the previous chapter about the appearance of Lord Varaha. When did he actually appear? So there is this reddish Varaha, which has appeared as an incarnation in the Chakshusha Manvantara, not so much in the Svetavaraha or Varaham Kalpa, where the Lord Varaha appeared as a white boar. So there is, you understand what I'm saying, is called a confusion of kalpas. So that's the only thing I can add to that to kind of give you a bit of more understanding of the situation. I hope you understand. If you don't, you can tell me. So at this time, whether it is really happening or it is being narrated, something that happened in Svetavaraha Kalpa, when there was hardly population on the earth planet, and Swayambhuva Manu was going to populate the earth planet, and then he couldn't find the earth planet. Do you get it, Prabhu? Okay. All right. Can we can carry with text 3? Someone text 3.
Hare Krishna.
Read.
The demon addressed the Lord. O best of the demigods, dressed in the form of a boa, just hear me. This earth is entrusted to us, the inhabitants of the lower region, and you cannot take it from my presence and not be us by me. Purpose. Sridhar Swami, commenting on this verse, states that although the demon
Well,
wanted
let me
to
make a
derive...
comment here. So the demon has said that the boar who had gone down, the inhabitants of the lower region, to get the earth from the lower region, right? And there it is said that demon said, you know, this is entrusted to us in the lower regions. You cannot take the earth from us, right? So let's see if Prabhupada brings up these kalpadosh. So go on, read Prabhu, the purport.
Sridhar Swami, commenting on this verse, states that although the demon wanted to derive the personality of Godhead in the form of a boa, actually he worshipped him in several words. For example, he addressed him as Vana Gochara, which means one who is a resident of the forest. But another meaning of Vana Gochara is one who lies on the water. Vishnu lies on the water, so the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be properly addressed in this way. The demon also addressed him as Mriga, indicating unintentionally that the Supreme Personality is sought after by great sages, saintly persons, and transcendentalists. They also addressed him as Ajna.
Okay,
Swami.
so Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhuji. Savana Gochara means one who goes into the forest, which means like a wild animal. But also, he addressed him as Mriga, which is really an animal. Okay, so sometimes four-legged animals are considered in generic terms of being a Mriga, and sometimes it stands for the word stag or deer. But Mriga also means a generally four-legged animals. So the demon has addressed him as Mriga, indicating intentionally that the Supreme Personality is sought after by great sages, saintly persons, and transcendentalists. But he said, so he's giving double meaning. Insulting, but at the same time glorifying. Vanagochara means wild animal that goes into the forest, but it also means someone who goes into the water. Mriga, indicating Supreme Personality of Godhead that is sought after by saints and saintly person. But it also means animals. And he also addressed him as Agya. Sridhar Swami says that Gya means knowledge, and there's no knowledge which is unknown to the Supreme Person. So he's saying Agya means you are a fool, you don't know anything. Or Agya can also mean that there's nothing that is not known to you. Everything is known to you. There's nothing, Agya. There's nothing that is not known to you. Or it can also mean, Agya means you don't know anything. So it's giving, in one way, in this verse, he's addressing him as Vanagochara, resident of the water or forest. But one who is a resident of the water is actually Narayan, because Narayan, he lies on the water. That's why he's called Narayana. Ayana means to lie on. Water. Mriga means animal, but also Mriga means one who is sought after by great sages. Agya means you just don't know anything, you're a fool. Or it means that there's nothing that is not known to you. right? So the demon's criticism in this verse and its meaning is actually an indirect praise by the demons as given by the acharyas. And now he calls him Suradhama in the text 5. Suradhama, lowest of the demigods. What does Suradhama mean? Sura means demigods, and Adhama means lowest of the demigods, or it can also mean Lord of the demigods, or the best of the demigods. So Adhama means he's the Lord of the demigods, or Adhama can also mean Naradhama. Like you know that word Naradhama in Bhagavad Gita, right? Chapter 7, text 16. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukrit Arjuna. Artha, no, the other one. Namam duskrit 15. Namam duskrita namudha prapadyante naradhama. You are the lowest of the mankind. So he said, Suradhama, the lowest of the demigods. Right? But in essence, he's saying to the Lord of the demigods. And then he says, Nasasti yasyasi, you cannot go and not be heard by me. In spite of my presence, you are completely able to take away the earth. So he said, Nasyasti yasyasti, unless you kindly take this earth from our custody, there's no good fortune. So I can hurt you, he's saying. So then he says, Abhavaya, for killing. This is also given, that word is there. Okay. So let's read through. Okay. So text 4 now. Okay, someone read, please.
Okay, let me take it. You rascal, you have been nourished by our enemies to kill us, and you have killed some demons by remaining invisible. Oh, fool, your power is only mystic. So today, I shall enliven my kinsmen by killing you. Purpose. The demon used the word abhavaya, which means for killing. Shridhara Swami comments that this killing means liberating, or in other words, killing the process of continued birth and death.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
The Lord
So in the verse, he's saying, you rascal, you have been nourished by our enemies to kill us, and you have killed some demons. So he's addressing Lord Varaha, and he said, you've killed some of my friends. And you being vicious, you being hiding. You only have, mystic power. You don't have very much. And he said, I will enliven your kinsmen by killing you. So he's very, very nasty. Yeah, you forest-going animals, and he's very nasty to the Lord, and he's throwing real heavy insult. But he used that insulting word called abhavaya, which means for killing. But as the acharyas have commented, that these words that they are using to insult or denigrate the character of the Lord has double meaning. And here abhavaya means that one who actually kills, but it also means that kills the body and liberate you from this world. Right? So the Lord kills the process of birth and death. So abhavaya means remove you from the ocean of fear and birth and death. So abhavaya does not mean just killing, but liberating. So you see the acharyas are commenting that it does not just means killing, but killing the process of continued birth and death. And then the next word is used, the activities of the Lord's internal potencies are inconceivable, but the slight exhibition of the potencies of the Lord by his grace can deliver him from nations. And then the next word comes, suchaha, means misery, suhit suchaha. Or the miseries of material existence can be extinguished by the Lord by his yogamaya potency. So again, that word suchaha also means grief, means that I will give you deep grief by killing your kinsmen and killing you. Or it means also that you extinguishes people's grief by your yogamaya. So please note these things, because these could be questions that you can write. Then it says in the Shvetasvatara Upanishad. So whenever you hear these name of these Upanishads, it's actually the name of the person who propounded these Upanishads. Shvetasvatara was a Muni, was a Rishi who wrote that Upanishad. And there it stated, Parasya Shaktir Vivideva Shriyate Sabhaviki Jnana Balakriyacha. That the Lord has multifarious energies that does everything. The Lord is invisible to the eyes of the common man, but his energies act in various ways. When the demons are in adversity, they think that God is hiding himself and working by his mystic power potency. They think that if they can find God, they can kill him by seeing him. So this is a very common prevalent bhav, mood in the material world. People don't believe in God and they think God doesn't exist. And if it exists, he's powerless. You know, where is he? He's not there with so many bad things happening to the world. If he was so good and he was so powerful, he would stop these things from happening. Because they have a very limited view of understanding of the tattva, the truth of the Lord, the absolute truth. So therefore, people have all kinds of strange ideas like that, right? So they also want to kill. Not only are demons anxious to kill God with words and philosophy, but they think that if one is materially powerful, he can kill God by materially fatal weapons. So those who partake of this demoniac nature, devilish nature, they think that they can kill the Lord. Then Prabhupada makes another foray into the life of other demons. He said, demons like Kamsa, Ravana, and Hiranyakashipu thought themselves powerful enough to kill even God. Demons cannot understand that God, by his multifarious potencies, and God's multifarious potencies is explained in that verse in Shvetasvatara Upanishad, Parasya Shaktir Vivideva Shriyate. Many varieties of Shaktis, right? Many varieties of Shaktis that will protect the Lord. Just like when Mother Jashoda wanted to bind the Lord. One of the energies did not agree. You cannot bind our Lord. So that was his opulence, his strength, his Bala Shakti, his opulence Shakti, his Ashwarya Shakti was coming through. And Jashoda Maya could not bind the boy. But then when the Kripa Shakti, when the mercy of the Lord, the energy of the mercy of the late came forward and saw that Mother Jashoda was making such an endeavor to bind the Lord, then he said, Anusit Sabandhane, the Lord allowed himself to be bound, almost like he himself is binding himself. Because when the Kripa Shakti, the energy of mercy towards his mother, became more prominent, then the energy of opulence and protection of the Lord retreated back, and the energy of the mercy came forward. So all these different energies of the Lord, they're working in multifarious ways all the time. I want to make a very important point in this. This is our philosophy. Now, I want you to understand that our philosophy states that the Lord has always existed eternally. Now, I want to ask a question. Everyone's here? Why is everyone disappearing from the screen? I want to ask an important question here. In the beginning, did the Lord have all the energies that he wanted, or his energies came after him? How would you answer that question?
Krishna Prabhuji, I will borrow from the Shis Upanishad invocation that he is perfect and complete. So from the beginning, all the energies are with him. They only act by his will.
Yeah, because if you said that his energies were not there, that means at some point he was not as powerful as he is now.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, that's not possible. So he's always been powerful. So his energies were always present alongside with him. And this is a darshan, that law that Lord Vyasadeva saw in the first canto, 7th chapter. The explanation is given when he went into deep meditation to try to find and understand the Lord before he writes the Srimad Bhagavad Puran, according to the instructions of his spiritual master Narad Muni. He went into deep trance meditation to get the darshan of the Lord, and he saw the Lord with his energies. And some energies were a little bit less, and some energies were a bit more, but he saw the Lord surrounded by energies. So our philosophy is very much this, Shakti Parinamavad. Our Krishna conscious philosophy means that the Lord is always acting with his different energies. And the transformation of his different energies create the different phenomena that we see. So our philosophy is generally called Shakti Parinamavad, that the Lord is doing everything through his energies, which is a transformation of the energies. So Shakti Parinama Vada means a way of thinking, or the philosophy of. So the Lord is always present with his energy, just like the material world is also the Lord. In the sense that the material world is the energy of the Lord, but it is the Lord's energy transformed into the material world. So it's Shakti Parinama. Parinama means transform or change. So everything is a Supreme Lord, but some of time it is actually his energy changed. This is our philosophy. So whenever the Lord is present, all his energies are present, or varieties of energies are present to execute the different will of the Lord according to what is required and what is appropriate. Okay? So let's read to text 5. Someone read text 5.
The demon continued. When you fall dead with your skull smashed by the mace hurled by my arms, the demigods and sages who offer you oblations and sacrifice in devotional service will also automatically cease to exist, like trees without roots.
Very important point. Is also another interesting philosophy. The demigods exist because of the Lord being Adi Yagya. He's the Lord of all sacrifice. And the demigods are there controlling the fruitive activities of all living beings and giving them positions, power, authority, opulence, beauty, knowledge, name, fame, and so on, based on the fruitive activities. So based on the karma and the fruitive activities, the demigods, under the agency or the supervision of the Lord, are giving all these different varieties of benefits to the jivas who are executing, to the living entities who propels by their desire. Who propels by their desire are actually doing the bidding for themselves to enjoy this material world. But there's a situation that is created by these 3 levels of energies in this material world, and one is called Adhyatma, the other one is called Adibhuta, and the other one is called Adideva. So the demigods, their controlling agencies are Adideva. Adibhuta means a cosmic manifestation which is enjoyed by the Adhyatma, the individual living souls with the self, mind, intelligence, and senses. So if you cut short the Lord, then everything collapses. Just like a triangle has 3 apex. All right? And if you remove one of the apex, there's no triangle, it collapses. So the whole world, if there is no controlling deities, the people will not be able to enjoy the fruits or the sense objects in this world. So the living entities are coming in this world because of desire. So they come in to enjoy the different things that is provided and created by the Lord, which is Adibhuta, material manifestation. So if they only had the living entities coming in the material world to enjoy, then there will be huge discomfort, disarray, because everyone will be wanting to take. But it is controlled. You cannot take. You can line up and only take what you deserve by the dint of your fruitive activities. And therefore, these agencies of the demigods control that. So that's what he's saying here. If I kill you, the demigods, they are dependent on you, because the demigods are manifested from the Virat Purusha, from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, through the agency of Lord Brahma. So he said, if I kill you, they will just collapse. What is there? So I cut the souls. That's what he's saying. Your oblations and sacrifice in devotional service will cease automatically, like trees without roots. So very interesting. In a sense, he's saying that you, my Lord, you're the root of everything. Right? So he's giving credibility to in his glorification, because the Lord is being talked about being, right, the right by which all the demigods exist. Right? And if I kill you, then their existence, so he's saying that if their existence is completely in accordance to your existence, and if I kill you and you don't exist, but at the same time, what a foolish thought. If you kill the Lord and the Lord does not exist, you stupid demon won't exist also. You see? Right? Because he's also the source of you. Right? So it's like people do not believe in God. Right? But the only reason that the whole world is maintained because of the devotees. And this is the very important fact, that the Lord keeps on maintaining the world because of pious and the religious-minded and spiritual-minded people who want to use the facilities that's given by the Lord for yajna, for sacrifice. And if people do not use things for sacrifice, it will be instant pralaya, instant annihilation. Right? Instant annihilation. Everything will be dissolved. Everything will be dissolved, just like you dissolve salt or sugar in water. It's gone. Everything will be dissolved. So the Lord is a root of everything. Okay. So someone can read the purport. Yes, Rasavan, Prabhu. I saw you wanted to ask a question.
Thank you very much. The point I want to make during your expression, you came to it and hit nicely on it. That many times we see this line of thought. The demons are against the demigods, and they are against the Lord. But they forget that the Lord is the supreme source of everything. So if the Lord doesn't exist, then they themselves will no more exist. It seems that thought doesn't prick them.
Yeah, actually, if any one of the agencies not exist, the material manifestation does not exist.
Yes.
I was explaining that in Bhakti Shastra at one point. People had a hard time understanding this principle. And yesterday I was giving my overview clause in the Gita, and I explained that. And this is also explained, the Adi Bhuta, Adi Deva, Adi Yagya, Adi Atma, explained in 10th chapter of the Gita. 10th chapter, 2nd canto, is explained these things, that one cannot exist without the other. And if you want to really understand this, this is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 30. And Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text 1. Right? And it's there. And let me read that for you. It's very important, this thing. Understand that. And then you start to really see how everything corroborates nicely. Let me read this for you. Chapter 7. So he says in text 30, in text 30. Okay. Okay, let me read text 29. You have the Gita with you? No?
Mm-hmm.
Can I? Maybe I can. Okay. What should I do? Get the Gita on the thing? Okay, let me get the Gita here. Maybe I can
Yeah, the
if I am
Gita.
allowed to. Oh yeah. Just wait a minute.
$7.29.
Yeah, wait. Let me bring the PDF here. Okay. Okay? Can you see this? Okay. So text 29. It says here. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you read this, or it's too small?
Okay.
Okay, let me read. Intelligent person. Okay. Jara marana mokshaya mam ashritya tantiye te brahma tad vidu krishnam adhyatmam. So the word to note here is adhyatmam, karma chakilam. Now we look at this verse. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They're actually Brahman. So he brings in the idea that the jivas are Brahman, because they entirely know everything about transcendental and fruitive activities. Now, okay. Now we go to the next verse. Okay, here. Oh, where does it go now? Oh dear. 8. So in the previous verses, in the previous 2 verses, here. So Arjuna asked this question. He said, "Oh my Lord, O Supreme Brahman, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me." So let's look at this here. He says, what is Brahman? And then he says, what is a self? Is Arjuna being silly here? He's been explained about the soul. So why does he talk about the self? And in the translation, are you following me? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the translation synonyms, adhyatmam is considered the self. So then he says, what are karma, fruitive activities? What is this manifestation, material manifestation, which is adibhutam? Look here. And then what are the demigods? Adidevam. Right? So these, why does he ask this? And I will show you now. I will stop this share. And I will share something from yesterday. I hope I have it here. Let me open it first. Gita study. Something very important that you have to follow. And it will make a lot of sense otherwise. Gita. I'm having trouble. Just bear with me. Now, okay. Can you see this picture, all of you?
Yes,
I can
Prabhuji.
see.
Okay. So I've drawn this triangle. And here we have Adhyatma, self with their natures. So Adhyatma is not just the Atma, it is the mind-body complex with the soul. So when the Jiva enters a material creation, he enters the material creation, he's given a mind-body complex, intelligence, ego, senses. And that's called the Adhyatma because he operates in the material world as Adhyatma, the self, not just as a soul. Right. So he comes in the material nature to try to what? He comes in the material nature to try to exploit material nature. Right? That's what he wants to do. So therefore, if you send all the jivas with their desires into the material nature, with their mind-body complex, the senses and everything, and they have Adibhuta, the material nature, which is always changing, what will happen? They will exploit material nature to no end. But how can they exploit material nature to no end? They can't. It's just like if you say to everyone in one country, if someone goes to Ghana and says to the Ghanaian people, he said, everything in this country belongs to all of you. And for eons, people in Ghana have been thinking, I wish I could get this, I could get that. I want to own this mountain. I want to own this big bus company, and I want to have this bank on my name. And so if someone comes and says, you know, you're here to enjoy and everything is Ghana is for everyone, what will happen?
They will exploit.
They will exploit, and people who don't deserve will take, and people who deserve won't get. So therefore, there are fruitive activities that control what we can take, what we can't take. Say, for example, as an adhyatma, as a soul with your mind-body complex, you enter into material nature and you see all these things. You say, okay, I've come here to enjoy, so let me enjoy. But you can't, because it's Adideva. Adideva are the controlling agencies. So just like every person in Ghana or Nigeria cannot go and take anything they want because they have the desire for it. They have to deserve it. So they get what they deserve. And therefore, the controlling deities are the Adideva. Now, the one thing that is at the central point of who the Adhyatma gets what from the Adibhuta, from the material manifestation, is always under the supervision of the controlling agencies, Adideva. But who gets what and who do not deserve what is from Adiyagya, the Supreme Lord, because he is the Lord of all sacrifice. So based on fruitive activities and sacrifice, you get what you deserve, or you don't get what you don't deserve. Right? So this concept is explained in this chapter here, Bhagavad Gita, this. So in the text, when you read the chapter 8, Arjuna, he asked, he said, Kim tat Brahma, kim adhyatmam? What is this Brahman? What is this Adhyatman? What is this Adibhutam? What is this Karma? And what is this Adideva? And he asked in the text 29, what is this Adiyagya? Right? So that the universe works in this triangular conjunction. If there is no Adhyatma, no self and jivas who want to exploit material nature, there won't be a material creation. And if the Lord does not allow sense objects and material nature to be, right, then there won't be any need for the demigods either. So these three things, they work in conjunction. One cannot perform without the other. If there is no adhyatma, individual selves who want to enjoy in the material world, what would be the need for Adideva, the controlling deities? There would be no need. Say, for example, in Ghana, there is no individual soul. Would there be need for government?
No.
No. Right? And there'd be no need also for all the rivers and the trees to bear fruits, because there's no one to consume them either. So there'd be no need for Adibhuta. Right? So this principle, devotees have to understand this. And you will see that. I'm taking the time to explain it, because you will see that happens over and over again in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita. This is what it means. So all these three things, they work in a triangular conjunction. And it is all coordinated. The functionality of the Adideva, the importance of Adibhuta, which is generally, this one is changing, and this one is generally dead or dead matter. It is material. And therefore the jivas can exploit material objects. But because these material objects are provided by Adideva under the supervision of Adi Yagya, the Adhyatma cannot just take anything for themselves. So therefore it works in this conjunction. So this is what is kind of he's saying here. He understands that. The demon, he understands that. So do you want to ask any question? Anyway, you may understand maybe half of what I've explained, but it's okay. It will come again and again. Kamalaksha, this is clear?
To some extent.
The material world is created for the jivas to exploit, but they can only exploit under the control of the demigods. Because if you keep taking everything and you don't offer sacrifice to the demigods, they will not give you.
It's true.
Right? And that's said in the Bhagavad Gita. And if a person is always enjoying the boons and the benefits of material nature without offering in response, by way of sacrifice, yajna, then you are considered a thief, because you're taking things that you don't deserve. So it works in conjunction. So the whole material world, the demigods are very, very important, because they are the controlling agencies. Right? And the jiva souls are injected into the material creation, and they're given mind, senses, intelligence, intellect, and that makes them into a self, which is called adhyatma. So the self is more than the soul. The self is a soul working together in conjunction with the mind-body complex. Okay. Any questions?
Thank you very much. No. And my comment is just that you really clarify the reasons why Arjun has to make this type of inquiry, asking these three the fundamental inquiries or questions about the self, activity, positive activities, and then the demigod. So he clarifies and shows the rationale why he has to ask these three things simultaneously.
Yeah, one cannot exist without the other. There's no adhyatma, what will the demigods control? If there's no adibhuta, where will the jiva go to try to exploit?
Then I have a question again, Prabhu. My question is, Srimad Bhagavatam explained to us how Kashipu acquired his power when he performed serious austerity, and Lord Brahma had to appear to him. But in Yaksha, we couldn't get much explanation how he got his power, and he appears to be as powerful as Kashipu as well.
Yeah, but because You see, the rule of action-reaction of fruitive activities is that if someone deserves, you give. Because those are the rules made by the Lord himself. If someone performs such yagyas, because the fruitive activities do not have to yield only beneficial things. Fruitive activities yield whatever is desired by the jiva. That's the very reason that the whole world was created. The jiva will, according to his sacrifice or his level of sacrifice, austerity, and his desire in his adhyatma, in his mind-body complex, he wants certain things. So if he performs the required austerities for that, then he has to be given, good or bad. That's a rule. So one cannot blame Lord Brahma for giving this kind of benediction because he deserved it. That's the whole idea. That's what I was talking about. Even though he has ill will, Hiranyakashipu did so many thousands of years of sacrifice. And by dint of his sacrifice, he became deserving. So good or bad, you have to give him. Yeah, because iksha dvesa samudena dvanda mohena bharata. It's iksha and dvesa, love and hate, desire and hate. This world is going under these two things, desire and hate. There's two wheels to the chariot. One is pious activities, the other one is sinful activities. Both, if you only have one wheel, the chariot won't go. And the two chariot of the wheel is fruitive activity. One is pious activity, one is sinful activity. This is material life. You get me? Am I dazed or you all look dazed?
Yes, you answered part of my question. About the Irayaksha, the brother, how did he get his power? And it's almost as powerful as Hirakashipu, his brother.
I think they were doing it together in tandem.
Okay.
They don't work separately. They work in tandem. And that was mentioned in the previous verse, in the previous chapter. It was mentioned. They work together.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
We're in text 6 now. So you see in the text 5, the offering of oblations very important. So if the humans don't offer oblations to the demigods, they become very upset. They become very upset. You cannot stop the fruitive activities that are being done for the satisfaction of the demigods, otherwise the world goes to ruination. They get very upset. But because they don't understand, sometimes they think that they are controllers. And it happened to Indra. He got upset. He said, you impudent 7-year-old boy, you want to stop something that has been going on for millenniums. For me, I'll teach you, give you good hiding. I'll teach you a lesson. And because, they subsist on these sacrifices that are done to them. And this is how they get the impetus to perform. So if you take away the sacrifices for the demigods, and the demigods become morose. And when the demons come, the sacrifices are stopped. And therefore, the functionality of the demigods are very much challenged. Right? And their ability to provide everything nicely in accordance to the desire of the Lord becomes also impaired. And therefore, the Lord has to come and address the situations. And then therefore, they go complain to Lord Vishnu. He said, look, these demons are creating such problems. We can't do our things properly. And Lord Vishnu said, okay, I will come and sort things out for you. Happens all the time. So you can kind of reflect on the relationship of the demigods with the Supreme Lord and also see what the demons do. I think that completes the picture, understanding of that. Okay? So let's go to text 6. Although the Lord was pained by the shaft-like abusive words of the demon, he bore the pain. by seeing that the earth on the ends of his tusk was frightened, he rose out of the water just as an elephant emerges with his female companion, then assailed by an alligator. So now the Lord was carrying the earth planet. So he was kind of worried about the security and the safety of the earth planet. So he moved carefully out of the water, right? Carrying the earth planet at the end of his tusk. And the earth planet was petrified. But also here, Lord Varaha is seen to be touching the earth planet. And the earth planet is called Bhudevi, right? And therefore, in the south, Lord Varaha is worshipped together with Bhudevi. And Bhudevi, Bhuvaraha, Bhudevi and Varaha, they were considered to be consort. Because by the touch of Varahadev, Bhudevi becomes pregnant and Narakasura is born. Right? And so on and so forth. So there's other pastimes in that connection here. So let's text 7. The demon who had golden hair on his head and fearful tusk gave chase to the Lord. The demon had golden hair on his head and fearful tusks. So he was some demon. And he was rising from the water, even as the alligator would chase an elephant, roaring like thunder, he said. And he said to the Lord, he said, are you ashamed? You're running away? And I'm challenging you. There's nothing reproach. You're shameless. There's nothing we can reproach you for. You're just without shame. So very sharp words, indecent, uncultured, sort of insult hurled at the Supreme Lord. Okay? Although apparently he said he fled from the challenge, it was just to play. So the Lord was not fleeing. The Lord was taking away Earth planet and trying to put the Earth planet in a safe place first. So text 8. The Lord placed the earth within his sight on the surface of the water and transferred her own energy in the form of ability to float on the water while the enemy stood looking on. So Brahma, the creator of the universe, extolled the world, the Lord, and the other demigods rained flowers on him. So the energy, the Lord infused the energy so that the earth planet can float. And it is considered that all the planets float in the antarikshan, in the atmosphere, because they are imbued by the energy of the Lord. And if this thing goes a little bit awry, then everything collapses. Yeah, so someone can read the purport.
Prabhuji, please,
yes?
before we move on, the text 7, the main text, the description of the demon there, in fact, I'm not clear. It says, the demon who had golden hair on his head and fearful tasks.
Yeah.
Was Hiranyaksha having tasks?
Yes. Yes, Hiranyaksha. He had tasks. You see in the picture Prabhupada's painted, that he was a painted Hiranyaksha. Hiranyaksha is a demon. They are not like normal looking creatures. They're a little bit like the films you watch, The big demons have big tail, same thing. Yeah. Okay. So text 8. Don't confuse it with Lord Varaha. Okay, so someone can read the purport here. Text 8 purport.
Hare Krishna. Yes,
go on, Prabhuji.
Yes. Those who are demons cannot understand how the Supreme Personality of God will float the earth on water. But to devotees of the Lord, this is not a very wonderful art. Not only the earth, but many, many millions of planets are floating in the air. And this floating power is endowed upon them by the Lord. There is no other possible explanation. the materialists can explain that the planet are floating by the laws of gravitation, but the law of gravitation work under the control of direction of the Supreme Lord. That is the version of Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, which confirms by the law's statement that behind the material law and nature law, and behind the growth, maintenance, production, and elevation of all planetary systems, behind everything is the law's direction. The law activities could be appreciated only by the demigods, headed by Brahman, and therefore, when they saw the uncommon power of the Lord in keeping the earth on the surface of the water, they saw him. They saw following him on appreciation of transcendental activities. Hare Krishna.
So have you ever thought about how the planets just float?
Yeah.
The sun, the moon, and all the planets just float in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
If you think about it, and they are huge celestial bodies. There are millions and millions of tons of matter. So they're suspended in the air. They're suspended in the atmosphere, sometimes way beyond distances, way beyond our imaginations. Because these things are actually sustained by the energy of the Lord. He's a maintainer. Because of his energetic power, of the energy, actually everything is maintained in position. We cannot imagine even, can we suspend something? Can I just put this thing in the air like this? I cannot. But the Lord is maintaining everything in the air. And this is actually, the scientists can call it the law of gravitation, and they can even give it a mathematical formula, right? Gravitational force, centrifugal force, the force of, and just to imagine the speed of rotation of the sun is something like maybe 50,000 kilometers an hour. Many speed of rotation of the sun. There is no vehicle, no aeroplane, no Sputnik, no Discovery can travel at the speed that the sun is traveling. Have you ever imagined that? So it humbles us to study Srimad Bhagavatam because we can reflect on these points, and it's very authoritative. Right? Millions of, hundreds of thousands of yojanas, kilometers per second. That's the speed of rotation of the sun. It is not just like it's going like you see in the morning and then it's over 12 hours, you've done this. No, it's leisurely. It looks leisurely, but it is going at no imagination in this world can give you the amount, the speed that the sun is moving. So think about these things. Okay, so text 9. The demon who had a wealth of ornaments, bangles, and beautiful golden armor on his body chased the Lord from behind with great mace. The Lord tolerated his piercing ill words, but in order to reply to him, he expressed his terrible anger. So the demon who had a wealth of ornaments, demons are always try to have a lot of, bling bling, on their body, right? Nice Nike shoes and, gold chains and all kinds of funny things, right? They call it bling, right? The demon who had a wealth of ornaments, bangles, and beautiful golden armor on his body chased the Lord from behind with a great mace. So he hurled insult. When he finished the insult, he charging and trying to. The Lord tolerated his piercing ill words, right? But in order to reply to him, he expressed his terrible anger. So he was insulting, calling him Vanacho Gochara, calling him Mriga, giving him all kinds of names, right? And insulting him. Now the Lord actually retort back. And Prabhupada in the purport is saying that the demon saying so many nasty words at the Lord was just like dogs barking. The dogs bark and the caravan passes. So it didn't affect the Lord. So he's saying here, the demon derision of the Lord was just like the barking of dogs, and the Lord did not care about it, since he was doing his own work in delivering the earth from the midst of the water. Materialistic demons always possess large amounts of gold in various shapes, but they think that a large amount of gold, physical strength, popularity can save them from the wrath of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is happening now. This is happening so much now that, you know, the big materialists who have no faith in the Supreme Lord, they are controlling vast amount of energies. If I tell you something, you know who is the biggest landowner in the US now? Kamalaksha, do you know who is the biggest landowner, agricultural land in the US?
No.
It's Bill Gates. And he is now promoting a next wave of vaccine. And they already tell you what disease is going to be and so on. So they are doing so much demonic work. They're trying to fire up Russia to fight against NATO and America, and they want to create a war because then they can sell war machinery. So these things are going on. Yeah. These things are absolutely unabated because the demons are doing this. But demons fighting the demons all the time. Small demons fighting bigger demons. And it goes on for a long period of time. So the Lord is going to give a reply to these demons. So they can go on for a long period of time too. Now they've been hoarding all the gold in the world, and they've been printing paper currency and trying to tell you, increasing the price of houses, increasing the price of land and commodities way beyond anyone's imagination, when actually doesn't reflect the real value of goods or anything. These are the work of the demons because they want to possess and possess and possess. And they want to do away with people who work and achieve something, and they only want to have everyone enslaved as manual workers, manual laborers, and they sit on top and have millions and millions and millions. So these are the works of demons. So even now, you know, they don't have big physical strength, but they have army to protect them. They have large amounts of gold, and they have popularity because they are given popularity by other similar demons, smaller demons who glorify them. So text 10. So tomorrow we can continue with what the Lord explains from text 10 on, because we have done with the Rath Yatra today here, so I have to get ready to go. And we've completed chapter 17. We had about 12 verses there. And then we've done about 10 verses here. And tomorrow we can continue with Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Lord, now start to speak. Okay? And the Lord also gives him a very interesting retort. In the same way that he was insulting the Lord, now give him a verbal fight and then challenging him. And then there's a fight that ensues. So from the text 10 on to the text 30, we can complete that tomorrow. And then we can also start chapter 19, about 10 verses or so. And by Wednesday, hopefully we will finish with chapter 19. So please read through, write your questions, reflect on what I've taught a little bit, and try to connect everything we've read about these demons and how they want to control material nature. And tomorrow we'll take up this class again. We'll be on time, and we'll start on time and finish on time. Hare Krishna, Grantaraja Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So you have any other questions or any comments? No? Yes? I'm starting new Bhakti Shastri class tomorrow with some devotees in the evening. So Monday, so 2 days, Saturday evening and Sunday evening and Monday evening, 2 days class also there. And I have my classes, 4 classes, and then free classes with you. So it's quite a lot of classes. So we'll carry on tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shrishnita Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Panchakalpa Tarvyascha. Kripa Sindhu Patitanam Pavanebhyo